Thank you, Sugarika ji. Vice Chairman of China Council for the Promotion of International Trade, CCPIT, Mr. Zhang Shaogang. Senior officials from the Embassy of China to Nepal. Well, President from CNI, former leadership, respected Secretary from the Ministry of Industry and Trade and Commerce, all distinguished delegates representing CCPIT, CNI, and other potential investors from China. Namaste, very good morning and ni hao. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for letting us air the video which recapitulates the achievements an institution formulated some 11 years ago has been able to achieve over the period of time in terms of demonstrating its capacity in hand-holding private investment by working as a prominent, prudent investment promotion agency, and as well as the very departure we have made in developing and managing PPP projects. So IBN is a first reference point for large investment, and the thresholds of project that we look into is anything above 53 million US dollar approximately. And in hydropower and other energy like solar or renewable, we look into the schemes of more than 200 megawatt, and in which I would want to highlight that some 4,500 megawatt of project with both export proposition and domestic consumption, and also mixed proposition of export and domestic consumption are already aligned into result-based framework, and on which in detail I would be trying to express myself over this August gathering. So first of all, I once again want to thank both CNI and CCPIT for inviting me to address this August gathering of Nepal-China Business Forum 2023, which I assume as a preparatory event of the very event which IBN is also working hard to prepare in near future, most likely in 2023. This is what we will be delving and discussing more in the board meeting, and for which the concept paper has already been charted out. So what we have decided is, events are very important. Right Honorable Prime Minister has already expressed the solidarity and the commitment that we have towards private investments. So my very responsibility is to take care of all those interests, and here today we are to listen on what the interest, valued, prospective or existing potential capable private investors from China have, and we are ready to partner. And on that, more likely, we got to highlight on investment policies, incentives, and sectoral opportunities in Nepal. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nepal is the country of country with mountains of opportunities in every sense. It's not just that we have Mount Everest in Nepal, that signifies the potential we have, but it's a very beautiful country, as Vice Chair from CCPIT had mentioned. The very pristineness, the value, the cultural values that we have, the religious value we have, the spiritual value those specific prominent location have, we do regard it as a comparative advantage for us. So we have already started, to ideate, identify, design, develop those projects. So it was very important for us to have sound, credible, studied project pipelines. So IBN has already created a framework for all PPP projects in the future, covering other areas, not just limit to energy sector. We would be looking into all those prospective areas with potential and we would try to ideate and develop projects best to complement and harness potential of those respective sectors. And we are working very closely with the concerned line agency, and we do have already 7 good projects which are in different stages of development and which would be ready for future showcasing. And in future events or forums, we would continue talking about those projects until the very time when we would be notification will be issued for getting expression of interest. So here, this very framework that we have prepared is something that China PPP Center also already has, and the remarkable progress they have already achieved. Having representing my good institution in different forums, we know how important for us to be prepared. I mean, not just project to be prepared, the institution also needs to be prepared. The commitment as in such, the very initiative, the effort that the government of Nepal is taking, adhering to principle of change management, we are trying best to improve our policies and also trying to delve into, what sort of incentives would be appropriate. Because, even if you talk sector-specific incentive, it would be too generic. If you talk of hydro, there is run-of-river scheme, there is picking run-of-river scheme, there is storage scheme. So the project-specific, incentive is what requires professional judgment, the in-depth analytics. So this is where, IBN does the work. So this is just to let you know, to assure you, if serious potential investors are engaged with us, we do take care of these matters very prudently and very diligently. So this is the commitment as in Office of the Investment Board, or on behalf of Investment Board, I want to make to this August gathering. And beside, not much to say, we do need investments. So investments are important, and that can come through the, as in direct investment, wherein we say that, respective investors are capable enough in identifying the areas of comparative advantage and where they can generate good benefit. Examples are Wasin and Hongxi. And please ask those valued investors representing those 2 investment companies how good we have been able to handhold them and facilitate them. Problems comes, but we have to resolve those problems then and there, not just during the construction regime, but also during operation regime until the very time, there is smooth exit of the business. So we do make a commitment of hand-holding our valued investor over the full project life cycle. I have had in past discussions, and there are other problems also where we're trying best to, resolve those problems. So this is the commitment. And beside, on incentives, there's an investor guide that has been put on table. Thank you, President CNI, for letting us, have it on the table for distribution, because that recapitulates, all those investment-related acts, FITA, Industrial Enterprise Act, or even Public-Private Partnership and Investment Act, through which, IBN is governed. The whole snapshot on step, processes, gates, and those incentives and facilities are outlined. I don't claim that, it is very perfect, but at least, it would be easy for valued investor to navigate what is policy regime, what is legal regime, what is procedural regime, or what is regulatory regime. Because we have talked of all those needs in infrastructure projects, in hydropower, just to let you know, there are very good projects. And in specific, if I have to say, valued Chinese investors are engaged with us in picking run-of-river scheme of 327 megawatt, which is now almost completed study phase, and now we are entering the premise of negotiation, and wherein we expect very short period of time we would be able to formulate bankable PDA, project development agreement, and which would assure the lenders, the real investors, equity investors, and debt financiers to raise and make a developer company to raise capital. And you can think of the project of 327 megawatt of picking run-of-river schemes, means that will itself have for Nepal, the utility would be signing bankable power purchase agreement and arbitrage benefit of stored energy, because it's as good as stored project. But beside these, not just limiting to mines and minerals, the Chinese investments have done wonders, as in end user, those ordinary Portland cement has been available to us at a very competitive price and a quality product. And not just that, the interventions of decarbonization is also instilled in those factories. So we just don't need investment, we need technology, and these two plants have showcased demonstration effect, what quality investment is, what technology can give the leverage, and how we have tried best to complement those investors with access of green energy, uninterrupted power supply, because that's where we have tried to reduce our economic dependency on fossil fuel. So this is what is just the video was trying to show, and demonstration effect that we are doing best to handhold our valued investor. Not limiting to that, now we are preparing ourselves for future. So project promotion is very important. As in such, Nepal, I may not have much to say now, because all of us have already been well aware of what potential we hold. The market itself is more than 30 million population, means itself is a potential market. And Vice Chair and even Right Honorable Prime Minister has expressed the areas of importance where we want investments. It's on high value product. It is LLDC nations has to be focused on capitalizing its high value products manufacturing. And we got to modernize our manufacturing base, so in which we have said, we want to look forward to have an EV ecosystem developed. So not just EV mobility or mass transport solutions, but also, backed up by sound charging stations, or even a charging station to have an reliability backed up by stored energy by means of, maybe having hefty, durable batteries. So this is departure, and on those lines, IBN is already preparing those projects. So those would be showcased. So the potential investors, with due preparations beforehand and lot of interactions, which we will for sure manage, and with transparency, we would do best to ensure that the real potential investor is solicited and the sustainable realization or implementation roadmap can be charted out. And we do care for, for quashing all those uncertainties and unpredictabilities. So on those fronts also, there are a lot of tools and SOPs that are managed. And in near future, in some events, we would love to come with, not just limit to these guidelines, but also with those templates and checklists, which gives a clarity of, and in pursuit of achieving uniformity of understanding. This will help. So in overall, what I want to say is, we are here today to actually hear from you also. How have you been able to read this market, or as in such, in terms of, country assessment, or in terms of, those institutions that you will be most likely dealing, and also with those respective, sector-specific projects that you have interest on. On direct investment, I have said it is totally up to the valued investors. If you have an idea, come back to us. We'll give you hardly a template and say that, your concept proposal should come to us in adhering to those standards, which are very basics, which are very uniform and internationally well acclaimed. But when we talk of PPP project, then there are two gates. One, we could have an unsolicited proposal where we don't do the selection. The valued investor identifies those areas with immense potential, and you ideate the project, design the project, and propose the project. But when you come through the solicitation gate, it is our sustainable, investable, credible project pipeline. So there I would want to say again, we limit to 7 in numbers, which is growing. We could see in the video there are 20 concept notes which will go through pre-feasibility study, and by the time we have our real event, this is a preparatory event, we will have pre-events, we will have more preparatory events, we will try to go pitch ourselves with those projects as in principle of and fundamentals of project promotion. Those projects would be showcased to you. So with this, I would like to once again thank CC, PIT and CNI for helping IBN also, because in terms of, for us to map the intent of our genuine potential, capable and interested investors, we'd be happy to see what is there for us on direct investment. And for PPP, we would reach out to you with those name of 7 projects, most likely would be representing tourism infrastructure, hospitality infrastructure, hospitals or health infrastructure, and green, clean transport, and even something, a component of EV ecosystem. So hats off to those valued investors who are already engaged with us. There are many in numbers, and I can see many of their representatives here today. Just on behalf of the good institution, my board and the office, I want to commit that things will move in a very good direction, in a predictable manner, and in a very prudent and diligent way. Thank you, and I wish success of this event and this session. Thank you.